Waarvandaan sal daar vir my hulp kom. My hulp kom van die Here, wat hemel en aarde gemaak het. Amen. Geliefdes, genade en barmhartigheid en vrede en God die Vader en die Seun en die Heilige Gees. Ek graag vir Teresa vra, en reg is met ons te sing. Uit ons hartheid, baie dankie. Here praat met ons vandag sy woord vir Psalm 1. Dit gaan goed met die mens, wat nie die raad van goddeloses volg nie. Nie met sondaars omgaan en met ligsinniges saamspan, maar wat die woord van die Here sy vreugde vind, die dag en nag oordink. Hy is soos 'n boom wat uit waterstrome geplant is, wat op die regte tyd vrugte dra, en waarvan die blare nie verdroog nie. Hy is voorspoedig in alles wat hy aanpak. So is die goddelose nie. En dit is 'n straf wat deur die wind uitmekaar gewaai word. Daarom sal goddeloses hulle nie kan handhaaf wanneer die Here oor hulle oorkom, en sondaars nie 'n plek hê in die vergaderings van regverdiges nie. Waarlik, die Here lei die regverdiges op hulle pad, maar die pad van die goddeloses lei tot ondergang. Ons gaan nou soos 'n hulpstuk sing, om daarmee ook ons ontvanklikheid, maar ook ons smagting na die woord van God en tye soos hierdie uit te spreek. Ek sit graag in die skadu van 'n boom. As mens so stil sit en luister na die geritsel van blare, en jy is gelukkig genoeg dat daar 'n paar voeltjies kom sit, en miskien 'n eekhoorntjie wat op die stamppaard loop, dan ervaar jy hoe 'n boom die skepping van God so duidelik uitbeeld. En dan ervaar jy die heling van die skadu en die versterking van die stam en die wortels wat stewig geplant is. Psalm 1 vertel vir ons van 'n boom wat by waterstrome geplant is. Psalm 1 help ons om te ontdek wat is die waarde en die betekenis van ons lewe. Die tydjie wat dit vir ons gegee is om op aarde te wees. Wanneer enige mens met die dood gekonfronteer word, is dit onvermydelik om te dink oor die vraag na die waarde en betekenis van jou eie lewe. Met Jannie se dood word ons nie net met die vraag oor die betekenis en die waarde van sy lewe gekonfronteer nie. Ons word ook gekonfronteer met ons eie lewe, om na binne te kyk en te vra en te wonder, wat is die waarde en betekenis van my eie lewe? En Psalm 1 leer ons hoe ons daaroor gaan nadink. Psalm 1 sê, hy is soos 'n boom. 'n Boom trek water deur sy wortels op na die stam en sprei dit na die takke, sodat blare gevorm kan word, sodat die boom kan vrug dra op die regte tyd. Dit is wat 'n boom doen, omdat dit 'n boom is. Dit is waarvoor God 'n boom geskaap het. Dit is die doel en die betekenis en die waarde van 'n boom. In 'n gedig van NP van Witt Blou, dig hy oor 'n buiteltjie. En hy sê, ek sit 'n klippie op 'n rots. 'n Mens moet jou vergewis, 'n buitel moet kan klibreek as hy 'n buitel is. Psalm 1 word gelowiges vergelyk met 'n boom. 'n Boom wat by water geplant is en wat op die regte tyd vrugte dra en die se blare nie verdraag nie. En die toepassing is nie dat ons dink aan 'n volmaakte mens nie. Die toepassing is dat gelowiges daarvoor geroep word in elkeen van ons lewe om hulle vreugde te vind in die woord van God, om dit dag en nag te oordink en om vrugte te dra op die regte tyd, sodat ons voorspoedig kan wees in dit wat ons aanpak as roeping. As roeping wat ons van God ontvang. Sal een sê, dit is wat gelowiges doen. Omdat hulle gelowiges is. Soos 'n boom doen wat hy doen omdat hy 'n boom is dit wat gelowiges moet doen omdat hulle gelowiges is. So opvallend, die heel eerste woord van die heel eerste van 150 psalms begin met 'n seënspreuk. Geseënd is, of gelukkig is, of in die ou taal welgelukkig salig is, die mens wat soos 'n boom doen wat hy doen, soos 'n gelowige doen wat hy doen. Dit klink amper soos Jesus se saligsprekinge daar in Matteus 5. Die psalms is nie kronologies geskryf, dat Psalm 1 nou regtig eers geskryf is en so aan, tot 150 nie. Want dit is betekenisvol dat die eerste van die 150 psalms juis met 'n seën begin. Ons lees in talle van die psalms van lyding, van stryd, van smart, van wroging, van 'n roep na die Here. Psalm 1 wil vir ons uitspel hoe ons God se seën kan ontvang en hoe ons die lot van goddelose mense kan vermy. En dit is opvallend hoe hierdie seën opgevolg word deur 'n rits negatiewe. Psalm 1 waarsku vir ons dat ons as gelowiges die seën van God kan misloop. Vir al 3 maniere. Mense kan God se seën misloop op die eerste manier wat Psalm 1 vir ons wys, is dat wanneer goddelose mense jou raadgewers is, in plaas van dat Jesus jou herder is. Die tweede manier waarop God mense se seën kan misloop, sê Psalm 1, is wanneer jy jou geloofsvertuigings prysgee terwille van die ondersteuning van goddelose mense. Die derde manier is eintlik, kom maar daaroor. Die derde manier is eintlik die ergste. Want die derde manier sê, jy kan God se seën, jy sal God se seën misloop, wanneer jy aktief met goddeloses deelneem om goddelose dinge te doen. En nou kan mens wonder, hoe kan dit met 'n gelowige gebeur? Want dit moet tog so wees dat jy jou regtig opsetlik stil en doof hou vir die stem van die Heilige Gees. Want Jesus het gesê, die Heilige Gees sal in julle kom woon en hy sal vir julle leer om alles te doen wat ek julle geleer het, sodat julle in my voetspore kan volg. Psalm 1 lei vir jou en my dus ook tot introspeksie. En om vir onsself die vraag af te vra, watter lewenswyse kenmerk my lewe? Soos dit in Psalm 1 vir ons beskryf word. Die lewenswyse van 'n regverdige, gelowige, of die lewenswyse van 'n goddelose. Psalm 1 waarsku ons nie net wat ons nie moet doen en wat ons nie deel van ons lewe moet maak, maar sê uitdruklik wat jou en my lewe as gelowiges moet kenmerk. En dit sê vir ons dat 'n mens jou vreugde moet vind in die woord van die Here en die dag en nag oordink. Gelowiges se vreugde en vrede word eksponensieel direk beïnvloed deur die mate waarin 'n mens met God se woord besig is en dit toelaat en innooi in jou lewe om jou lewe te rig en om vir jou op die pad van God te hou. Dit gaan oor ingesteldheid om die wil van God te doen. Dit gaan nie oor die volmaakte sukses om dit te doen nie. Want wie van ons sal nie kan sê, ons misluk, want dit was daar. En dit is ook nie waaroor dit hier in Psalm 1 gaan. Om vir ons van 'n volmaakte mens te vertel, wat nooit fout het. Maar die uitdrukking om dit dag en nag te oordink, beteken niks anders nie as dat dit jou verwysingsraamwerk is, waar volgens jy besluite neem. Wat jou lewe rig, wat jou gesindheid en jou gedagtes fokus op wat vir God aanneemlik en aanvaarbaar is. Om jou vreugde te vind in God se woord en 'n dag en nag te oordink, gaan daaroor om op ingestel te wees op wat God se wil is. En dit is soek en jou in te span om dit te doen. Die natuurlike gevolg daarvan is om vreugde daarin te vind. Dit maak jou bly as jy die beginsels van die woorde van God toepas en jy sien dit werk. Jy sien dit verander jou. En jy sien dit verander die mense op wie jy 'n invloed het. Want dit behels dat jy tyd maak, dat jy jou lewe so inrig dat daar ruimte is vir God se woord, om dit te oordink, om dit op jou lewe toe te pas, om dit in jou optrede te laat blyk. Dan sê Psalm 1 ook, dat ons sal vrugte dra op die regte tyd. Natuurlik beteken die regte tyd God se tyd. Soos God wil hê jy moet vrugte dra. Hoe baie keer het ons onsself nou ingespan om iets te doen en dan voel dit of daar niks gebeur nie, né? En dan ewe skielik, as ons niks daarmee gedoen gehad het, dan het God iets gebeur. Vrugte dra op die regte tyd. Dit gaan oor die ontdekking en die herontdekking gedurig weer van die waarde en die betekenis van jou eie lewe in die hand van God. Deur in gehoorsaamheid aan God te lewe. Soos ek gesê het, dit is deel van boom wees om water deur sy wortels op te neem, sy stam en sy takke te versprei, sodat daar blare kan wees en vrugte kan dra. Wanneer 'n boom dit doen, dan vervul die boom die doel waarvoor God dit geskaap het. Net so ontdek die gelowige sy waarde en betekenis van sy lewe deur die woord van God te doen. Dan word dit vir jou duidelik. Dan antwoord ek vir jou 'n paar vrae waarmee jy gedurig worstel. Psalm 1 sê, 'n gelowige vind sy vreugde in die woord van die Here en bedink dit dag en nag, omdat dit in sy aard is. Dit is wat gelowige doen. En so vervul gelowiges die doel en die waarde waarvoor God jou geskaap het. En dan rig die wil van God jou innerlike en ook jou uiterlike lewe. En die uitspraak, hy is voorspoedig in alles wat hy aanpak, en 'n paar van ons laat opkrap. En wonder maar, is dit nie waar van my nie? Die ware betekenis en waarde van die lewe lê nie daarin om gedurig met sukses te behaal nie. Gaan daaroor wanneer jy misluk, wanneer dinge skeef loop, om weer te vra wat is die doel van my lewe volgens God se wil. En dit herontdek en dan weer te begin en weer te probeer. Het gaan eintlik daaroor dat jy 'n onwrikbare vertroue in God het, dat as jy sy wil soek, dan sal hy dit laat slaag op een of ander manier. Al is dit 'n paar heel ander manier as wat jy gedink het van gebeur. Het gaan nie hier oor die altitude van sukses nie. Het gaan hier oor die attitude van gehoorsaamheid. En soek na God se wil. Gelowiges is nie altyd so suksesvol nie, maar gelowiges kan altyd 'n onwrikbare vertroue hê dat God sy wil sal laat geskied. En dit is waarom die boom van Psalm 1 my aan Jannie laat dink. Ek het graag in Jannie se voete gesit. En geluister na sy enthousiastiese drome en dinge waarmee hy besig is om waarde toe te voeg tot die lewens van medemense, veral minder bevoorregtes. Elke boom het 'n impak op die skepping, op een of ander manier. Ook Jannie het op een of ander manier gedurig 'n impak gehad ander mense se lewens. Selfs wanneer mense geluister het na hoe hy oor sy bekommernisse praat en oor die dinge wat nie werk nie, dan was daar altyd die getuienis van 'n onwrikbare vertroue dat God sy wil sal uitvoer. Al is dit dan nie Jannie se wil nie. Al is dit bietjie anders. En ek glo God het vir Jannie ons waardestroom geplant. Hy het vrugte gedra op sy tyd. Sorry, duil gloria. Ek wil graag gebed doen en daarna gaan ons verhoorsaam aansgee om God te bly te gee. En daarna gaan Pieter aanskryf vir bedankings en dan sal ons weer red. Ons by ons hoofd. Sorry, duim gloria aan U alleen, die lof en die eer, God, Vader, Seun en Heilige Gees. Dankie dat U in die volle onder ons kom bly. Ons die Vaderskap, die verlossing en die leiding die die Heilige Gees kan ervaar, en kan ervaar, ek bedank ons lewe. Dank ons weer vir iemand soos Jannie, wat dit ook ervaar het, en dit met ons gedeel het. Vir soveel jare met vriende gedeel het, met sy kinders, met familie, vriende. Wie het die self verheerlik, deur sy dood. Daarvoor is ons dankbaar. Dankie dat hy geweet het, deur Jesus, dat u ook aan ons gedink het, daar aan die kruis. Dat u gebed ook vir hom was, vir hom ook vergifnis gebring het. Here, ons as familie en vriende bid, en besonder vir vriende, ons weet dat u ons sal dra, dat u ons sal toevou, dat u ons sal lei. Ons bid vir die familie, ook vir die kinders en kleinkinders, kinders wat gaan kom. Dat die nagedagtenis van Jannie, opa, pa, eggenoot, en altyd vrede en vrede sal bring. Tot eer van u naam. Amen.
I'll be speaking English for the sake of my family who are in Finland watching, and there's the rest of you that are not as Afrikaans fluent. Dearly beloved friends and family, acquaintances and colleagues, from near and far, those who could make the trip to be here in person, those who are connected through the blessed modern technology, thank you for being here with us today. I'll be speaking today on behalf of my mom, my uncle, Charles, and us as a family unit. I want to tell you about my dad. To remember him as he was and develop through the decades the story of his life that shaped his character. Where else to start than there where our roots are dug in the deepest, the arid Great Peru. 7 decades ago. Dad was only 6 years old when tragedy hit hard. His father tragically drowned in a river formed after the Karoo received heavy seasonal rain, and he was on his way to his family on the sheep farm where they lived. It happened on a Thursday in January, and that following Monday, my dad started grade 1 in Brandley, where he lived with his grandparents for 4 years, while his mother and brother remained at the farm, Leopold. It begs to mention that my grandmother was a formidable woman. She took over the farm management and was a force to be reckoned with for all her life. I believe this early childhood experience shaped his caring disposition towards widows all throughout his life. When my Uncle Charles had to start school, the boys and their mom moved to Carnarvon. On weekdays, my Oma Rosa taught home economics in the high school, and on weekends, they continued farming. Farming was certainly in my dad's blood for the entirety of his life. Carnarvon is where he met my mom in the early 1960s. Their school friendship quickly turned to flirtation, and by about 17 years of age, they were inseparable. They were both head boy and head girl, and always at each other's side, and they married eventually in 1974. They just had their 49th wedding anniversary. During the in-between years, though, Dad joined the Navy in Simonstown, and Mom went on to study in Stellenbosch. As an example of my dad's gift of foresight, he realized he would need to enter the job market with English proficiency, and so, Karoo farm boy decided to study civil engineering at UCT. Boy, was that hard work. But Jannie de Witt would tell you that nothing great can be achieved without a little blood, sweat and tears. He was a serious and very successful rugby player at that time too, making the most of life's opportunities. As if studying at UCT wasn't enough, this newly married man completed his second BSc in mining engineering at Witt University in Johannesburg. Mom and Dad moved into their first little red brick home in Kimberley for my dad to start his mining career at the Beers diamond mine. This little red brick house became the first of many houses they moved in and out of. And Dad built his career stride by stride. Can I say that they moved into close to 30 houses in the time of their married life, and number 80 Greenstone was the dream house that my dad built for my mom. One very significant early move was a 4-year allocation to Copperton, a copper mine in the Northern Cape. The community formation in that little town was richer than the minerals in the ground. Friendships that spanned lifetimes were formed. Many of these friends are present today. This lifestyle was the pattern that formed in every community they moved to, always settling in, making new friends, joining the church, playing golf, and participating in the community activities. Music played a massive role. His love for opera music created many a memorable moment, and I'm sure so many people listening to me right now can bring to mind his fist in the air, eyes closed, listening to Pavarotti's High C as it reverberated through the sound system. He also named his farm interest after a lyric in Nesandorma, Vincherol, we shall overcome. Around this time in Copperton, all 3 kids of us were born, so I'm starting to make memories of my own. Fast forward though, a few years, we moved to Stilfontein, Allen Ridge, and back to Stilfontein again. Every 4 years, there was a significant change, a move or an upgrade of some sort. But I want to thank my dad for allowing our family to experience this gift of moving, changing, adapting. It is a necessary skill that we develop as individuals. Okay. My dad loved his job, his colleagues, his community. He played golf almost daily. He loved it and also achieved much success in the sport. It was another one of his passions. However, as far as passions go, farming was in his blood. He farmed sheep and summed up the crudest cattle in every conceivable opportunity. Eventually on a small farm in Potchefstroom, he loved his red cattle so very much. I remember many drives on the farm paths, with his fancy cars scratched by the bushes, but only so that he could look at his animals up close. That was his focus. During this time, my dad became mine manager at the Lorraine Gold Mine in Allen Ridge, and tragedy struck our family in 1995 when my eldest sister, Estia, suddenly passed away from a medically related incident. It broke us all in some way or another, but God. His presence sustained us. His grace was sufficient. The road was long, but God got us through. This is where I learned about deep devotion to God, amid incomprehensible pain and sadness. But also in this time, the Witt brothers had formed an exceptional working relationship. My uncle, an advocate in the South African labour law, assisted in many mining-related disputes in what we can all agree were tumultuous times in our country's history. The two brothers had always had a very close relationship, and it was one to be admired, and to be honest, I'm sure, one to be jealous of. A deep love and respect existed between them, and that needs a tribute on its own. From Allen Ridge to Stilfontein to Carltonville to Barberton, one can get lost in the details, but let me not delve too deeply, there's still so much to say. The passionate sportsman discovered cycling with friends Piet Niemann and Andre van der. He participated in 10 consecutive Cape August cycle challenges. The last one, not before cycling down to Cape Town from Pretoria with his brother-in-law, Frans Witt, and a team to raise money for a nursery school in Sunnyside, Pretoria. He finished that final August in his personal best time. In the end, 25 years of Dad's life was spent in the mining industry. But it ain't over yet, baby. 2003 brought an ugly end to a very successful career, retrenchment. But for a glass half full kind of guy, this was the seed of a new life. Greener pastures, greenstone. The seed of a dream was planted. It took so much blood, sweat and tears to get Greenstone Wildlife Estate developed. But for my dad, there was never too much work, and he didn't leave any stone unturned. Greenstone Wildlife Estate, 14 streams, Bad Monzi, close to Machadodorp. All these pieces of land represented my dad's love for the beauty of nature and his sense of responsibility to steward such beauty and make it accessible to others to enjoy too. He had many successes and some failures. His tenacity and endurance to achieve something great is what we as a family will remember, and it's a legacy we would like to instill in our kids. My dad was a visionary. He often saw things far in the future. His life story can attest to that. I can still tell you a bit of his mannerisms and behavior towards others. He loved to travel and explore. Long distance travel, bring it on. Uncharted territory, now we're talking. My dad did his best to introduce the world to us. We traveled to different countries and amazing places here in South Africa. It would be our family or a group of friends or a road trip or a camping adventure. The Estreisens, the Doyers, hunting opportunities on the farm. My husband Chris especially loved those. Those hunting trips, even in the room. It made him so happy to share these experiences with you, his nephews. He would always walk meters ahead of us. You'd have to run to catch up to him, but yet he had all the time in the world to listen to someone's issues. And whilst you're thinking he didn't care or listen at all, he was busy calculating a solution. My dad was practical, deeply intelligent, gentle, generous, a good man, a father figure to many, especially Rennie Sipis. One man in his mining career, a nobody by all worldly measures, said to him once, "Mr. de Witt, you are the only boss I ever worked for who says please and thank you." He was generous with kindness. In Afrikaans, there's a saying that you roll a stone out of someone else's way to make their road a little easier. He did not do those things for selfish gain. It often cost him. But he strove in his daily life to put into practice what he read in the Word of God. He loved music and telling stories. He loved it. But his hearing deteriorated these last few years, and he wasn't able to enjoy it as much as he used to. It brought about so many other struggles too. And he retreated more and more into his own world. He loved his children and he adored his grandchildren. As you can see in the photo reel behind me, he lived life to the fullest. He maintained the friendship he had formed over the years, and I want to especially mention his friendship with Witt. That was so very precious to him. It was grandchildren. I got the sense that my dad was waiting his entire life to meet his grandchildren, to love them. My girls remember the playhouse that he constructed for them. It was rustic, scrap metal, reused, repurposed, not particularly pretty, but what girl can say no to a 2-story playhouse with indoor plumbing and running water installed by her granddad? A tire swing, a tire sandpit, a tire swimming pool. Young Paul, my brother's 7-year-old, said how he loved when Opa let him sit on the bakkies roof to drive through the Kruger National Park. But he meant driving through Greenstone looking for animals. If there is someone that I am sure is in heaven, it is my dad, a sinner saved by grace. I'm eternally grateful that we could spend this last Christmas together. We all love the song, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. His last Christmas was that, a beautiful white Christmas, the best that Finland could offer. We didn't know it then, but his body had already developed infection. On New Year's Eve, it looked like he was developing a cold. Leaving out lots of details, this dad of mine never complained, so we didn't realize the full extent of what was happening in his body. I'm grateful for God's mercy and provision to bring him to my home, to our local hospital. He received the best care possible. My mom and I could visit him and be together every day. My brother was on the phone with the doctors almost daily. It was really hard for my uncle and Teresa, who were unable to travel and was stuck on the farm with only my poor communication to give them regular updates. I feel so very privileged. I could read scriptures to him. I sang for him. The last 3 weeks of my dad's life were so precious to me. I have a godly jealousy towards him. He is with so many of our loved ones that have gone before us. But most of all, he is with Jesus, his Savior, his Creator, who made him the man that he was. Sometimes a bit of a loose cannon for some, a wild at heart man with a plan. Now he is perfected. I'd like to also read the Doyers, especially sent us a beautiful message. And I will have to switch over to Afrikaans again. Onstuitbaar. Soos die cruiser en Rekka 'n onstuitbare kombinasie gevorm het, waarmee Jannie omtrent enige struikelblok en uitdaging aangedurf het, was Jannie en Frina ook 'n formidabele kombinasie. Kosbaar en in ons oë ook eintlik onstuitbaar. Maar uiteindelik gebeur die ondenkbare op pad na Osselmeeu. Weens 'n gebreekte disselboom het die rek in finaal tot stilstand gekom. En moes die cruiser alleen verder. Op pad na sy enige Osselmeeu gebeur dit met ons eie Jannie toe. Toe sy aardse reis in 'n Finse hospitaal finaal gestuit word. Ons is oortuig dat hy onstuitbaar voortgaan met sy dienswerk aan die voete van sy meester. Ons vertrou en bid dat die onstuitbare liefde en trou van die meester ons almal, maar veral julle, Frina, so sal dra dat ons onstuitbaar op koers sal bly, dat ons ook daar by ons man, broer, pa, oupa, kosbare vriend, raadgewer, toermaat, sal aansluit. Ons koester hom in ons harte en gedagtes. Anton Koeter.
December 2023, my friend Jannie left for Espoo, Finland for like Christmas, as she was saying. Visiting with my Chris, Estia, Sela, and Reyes in Alabama, Christmas mom. On the 31st, about 3 weeks after they arrived, my Jannie developed a fever and cold shivers. He was speaking on the telephone on the end of the year, awaiting the new year. And asked him about it, but he denied any other symptoms. And we assumed they were trying to do a viral illness. It's cold, it's winter. But on the early hours of the morning on the 2nd of January, Mom became very concerned. That breathing pattern changed and he felt cold and clammy, confused. An ambulance was called. We took him to a large teaching hospital in Espoo. On arrival, it became very clear that Jannie had a serious underlying infection, which resulted in some organs to fail. A CT scan showed features of acute appendicitis, blood taken, as well as a lesion of unknown significance in the liver. He was transferred to ICU, managed with broad-spectrum antibiotics, received supportive care for his heart to maintain a blood pressure to allow perfusion of all the vital organs, support for his kidneys and oxygen. Later that same day, he was taken to theatre and his appendix was removed. The doctors from the beginning was concerned about what they found intraoperatively. The appendix was inflamed, he had acute appendicitis, but not to the extent of the illness. But fortunately, after the surgery, he started to improve. He required less support. And on the 3rd day, when his kidney function recovered sufficiently, a CT scan was done again. This time with intravenous contrast, which highlights certain areas and makes the interpretation of the scan much easier. That lesion of uncertain significance in the liver turned out to be the source of the infection. Drains were placed to control the infection while the antibiotics doesn't work. I was relieved to some extent. Will we knew all the answers. That is improving. He's on the right antibiotics according to culture results. And we thought it was just a matter of time for him to recover. On day 6, however, that required more oxygen. He had a deterioration in his respiratory function. And he was diagnosed with acute respiratory distress syndrome. Just a bit of background: when you're critically ill, your immune system is activated. It tries to control the infection or the injury. And frequently, when it's a severe infection, it overreacts and you get collateral damage. The immune system can damage normal tissue, normal organs. So that's what happened with ARDS, or acute respiratory distress syndrome. The lungs damaged, fills up with fluid, inflammatory cells, lungs become heavy and stiff. And the gas exchange is impaired. Can't get oxygen in, can't get rid of the carbon dioxide. Another feature of this syndrome, that you develop severe muscle weakness. So you can just think, a combination of lungs or a condition that increases your work of breathing associated with weak muscle is not a great combination. So you can support. There's no specific treatment for this. It's supportive care while it runs its course and starts to improve. You buy time. Fortunately, with weak muscles, inability to cough properly, secretions build up, and one thing leads to another complication. And after 3 weeks in ICU, Dad died of respiratory failure as a result of this infection. There's a few questions of why this infection in the liver, where did it come from? It doesn't really make sense, but that's what it is. I have no doubt in my mind that he had excellent care in Westwood. He was in a first world hospital. They practiced evidence-based medicine. They kept it up to date. And I don't think there's any concern from me or I hope the family that he had the best care possible. Dus laat my hoor om net 'n paar bedankings te doen. Met ons die Wits, een van die hevels. Graag vir ieder en elkeen vandag uit ons harte dankie sê vir die ongelooflike ondersteuning wat ons ontvang. Mens kan nie al ons name noem nie. Ek seker nog 'n paar dae gaan ons nog 'n paar dinge dink wat ons sou moet sê. My ondersteuning het soveel vorme, gebede, oproepe, boodskap, drukkies, kos, blomme, advies, redingskap, net opdaag, saam wees, noem dit. Net daar wees. Die ongelooflike liefde wat ons ervaar het, gaan ons saam doen. Baie, baie dankie. Om net nog 'n paar mense by name te doen. Doe die alleen. Baie dankie vir die boodskap, die herhaalde besoeke, om ons akkommodeer met baie besige Saterdag. Die kerkbaarten, die Hub, die Koster, Teresa, baie dankie vir pragtige sak. Weer was baie moeilijk. En dan kun je voor een liste aan een van de reis, klant bij die technische aspecten, Christel en Machtel, die uitzending en foto's, Toekie Bos of die Blosme, vrouwendienst, die versingstonaliteit, New York Church in Espo, Pastor Chiman in bijzonder, Dr. Laura en haar span in Espo in die hospitaal, die Floorball team, Bosaangedraal in Espo, Greenstone, vir die gebruik van ander faciliteite, vir die naweek en die familie. En al die vriende, van heinde en verre, almal wat hier is, in persoon, die wat virtueel bywoon, en selfs die wat graag hier wil wees, maar nie kan wees nie. Baie dank. Soms is het dank ook aan Rosa, en die Isabel, dat nooit maar sy verlaat het nie, heel dit bygestaan. Sorry, Salve, baie dank, baie ondersteuning, raad, en ek sê het nog baie gekloot, baie dank. Laastens, ek voor dat ek sê, 74 jaar, ons lewe kon deel, ek maak vir man in ons oor. Dus ook dankbaar ons naam kan kyk vir wysheid, vir krag en vir vrede.
Heer my God, the Lord my God. 'n lied wat beskryf dat God soveel groter is as wat ons kan bedink. En meer doen as wat ons kan bedink. Kom ons vir heerlikste naam hier.
I see the stars. Amerikaanse herlewingspredikant van Amerika, Witt, hy het in die 19de eeu geleef, het by geleentheid gesê, someday you will read in the newspaper, Witt is dead. Don't you believe a word of that? Eendag sal jy hoor, Jannie is dood. Moenie jou woord daarvan glo. Moenie jou woord daarvan glo nie. Hemelse Vader, baie dankie dat ons weet Jannie is by U, saam met U in paradys. Dankie vir sy lewe. Dankie vir sy voorbeeld, vir sy vriendelikheid, vir sy bereidheid om altyd te gee, om op te offer, om belang te stel, om lief te hê. Ons weet is nou U Here, maar ons treur omdat ons moes groep. En ons gebed is Here, kom o Heilige Gees, U naam is tot trooster, om troos ons, en geef ons die vrede, vat ons aan, en leid ons op die pad vorentoe. Om Jesus wil, mag met die genade van die Heer Jesus Christus, en die liefde van God ons Vader, en die gemeenskap van die Heilige Gees, by ons wees. Amen.
Ja,